What if the most powerful weapon you possess isn't something you can hold in your hands, but something that exists in the invisible realm of reputation and divine connection? Right now, someone, somewhere, is plotting against an innocent person, believing they have all the power, but they've forgotten something crucial. They've forgotten about the power of a name. In ancient times, a person's name wasn't just a label, it carried their entire essence, their character, their authority. When King David wrote Psalm 54, he was facing betrayal from people who knew exactly where he was hiding, people who had sold his location for personal gain. Yet instead of panicking or plotting revenge, David did something that completely shifted the power dynamic. He called upon a name so powerful that it could change everything in an instant. In the next few minutes, you're about to discover how understanding the concept of divine names can transform your approach to conflict, betrayal, and seemingly impossible situations. Today we're exploring Psalm 54, and here's what makes this psalm absolutely incredible for English learners. It's a masterclass in how to express desperate prayer, unwavering faith, and ultimate triumph using some of the most emotionally charged vocabulary in the English language. This psalm contains sentence structures that show you exactly how native speakers express urgency, make formal requests, and declare confidence even in the darkest moments. If you want to understand how English speakers communicate in crisis situations, you've found the perfect text. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. You're about to see how a prayer that's less than 100 words in Hebrew can teach you advanced English communication patterns that you'll use for the rest of your life. The story behind Psalm 54 reads like a thriller. David is hiding in the wilderness of Ziph, trying to stay one step ahead of King Saul, who wants to kill him. The people of Ziph weren't strangers, they were David's own countrymen, fellow Israelites who should have protected him. Instead, they send messengers to Saul saying, "Is not David hiding among us?" Think about the psychology here. These weren't enemies from foreign nations. These were neighbors who made a calculated decision to betray someone from their own community. The English phrase, "Is not David hiding among us?" is a rhetorical question, but it's designed to sound helpful while being completely destructive. For English learners, this shows how seemingly innocent questions can carry hidden agendas. The Ziphites weren't asking for information, they were offering to deliver David like a package. What makes this betrayal even more painful is the phrase that follows. He is hiding on the hill of Hachilah, south of Jeshimon. These people didn't just know David was in the area, they knew his exact location, his daily habits, his hiding spots. The specificity is chilling. South of Jeshimon, they're giving GPS coordinates to his enemies. In modern terms, imagine trusted neighbors not only telling your enemies where you live, but also providing your daily schedule, your security codes, and the best times to attack you. The level of detail in their betrayal shows premeditation. They had been watching, planning, and waiting for the right moment to cash in on David's misfortune. This teaches English learners about the power of specific details in storytelling. The more precise the information, the more impact it has on the listener. Now here's where Psalm 54 becomes psychologically fascinating. Instead of cursing his betrayers or plotting revenge, David's first words are, "Save me, O God, by your name. Vindicate me by your might." Notice the structure. Save me by your name and vindicate me by your might. This parallel construction shows how to make formal, urgent requests in English. But more importantly, David is doing something revolutionary. He's shifting the entire conflict from the human level to the divine level. The word vindicate is crucial here. It doesn't just mean help me win, it means prove that I'm right. Show that my cause is just. David isn't asking for revenge. He's asking for justice. And he's asking the ultimate authority to be the judge. The phrase by your name carries enormous weight in ancient Hebrew culture. And the English translation preserves this power. A name wasn't just a label, it represented everything that person stood for. Their character, their authority, their reputation. When David says by your name, he's essentially saying, I'm calling upon everything you are, everything you represent, all of your power and character. For English learners, this teaches us about the phrase by when it means through the power of or using the authority of. We still use this today. When we say things like by the power vested in me or I arrest you by the authority of the law. David is invoking the ultimate authority to intervene in his situation. David continues, hear my prayer, O God. Listen to the words of my mouth. This might seem repetitive, but it's actually escalating. Hear means to receive the message, but listen implies focused attention and intention to act. The phrase words of my mouth is more intimate than just my words. It emphasizes the personal, urgent nature of this communication. In English, we use similar escalation when we say things like, please hear me out, followed by, I really need you to listen to me. David is showing us how to intensify our communication when the situation is desperate. This is advanced English technique, using synonyms that build emotional intensity rather than just repeating the same word. Then comes the analysis of his enemies. Arrogant foes are attacking me. Ruthless people are trying to kill me. People without regard for God. Notice the progression. They're not just opponents. They're arrogant foes. They're not just fighting him. They're attacking. They're not just hostile. They're ruthless people trying to kill. Each description gets more intense. The final phrase, people without regard for God, isn't just about religious belief, it's about moral foundation. People without regard for God are people who recognize no authority higher than themselves, no moral limits on their behavior. This is sophisticated English vocabulary for describing different levels of opposition and moral character. Here is where the psalm takes its most dramatic turn. Surely God is my help. The Lord is the one who sustains me. The word surely is incredibly important here. In English, surely doesn't express doubt, it expresses absolute confidence. It's like saying without question or definitely. David isn't hoping God will help. He's declaring that God's help is already guaranteed. The phrase, the one who sustains me, is beautiful because sustain means more than just help. It means to hold up, to keep going, to provide ongoing support. A bridge is sustained by its pillars. A person in water is sustained by a life preserver. David is saying that God isn't just offering occasional assistance. God is his life support system. The next verse contains some of the most psychologically astute words in the entire Bible. Let evil recoil on those who slander me. In your faithfulness, destroy them. The verb recoil is perfect here. When a gun fires, it recoils. The force that propels the bullet forward also pushes the gun backward. David is saying that the evil his enemies are directing at him will bounce back and hit them instead. This isn't David asking God to create new punishment. He's asking for the natural consequences of evil actions to take effect. The phrase "in your faithfulness" is crucial because it shows that justice isn't about revenge. It's about God being consistent with divine character. Faithfulness here means reliability, trustworthiness, keeping promises. David then makes a remarkable promise. "I will sacrifice a free will offering to you. I will praise your name, Lord, for it is good." A free will offering wasn't required by law. It was voluntary, given out of gratitude and love. David is saying that when God delivers him, his response won't be the minimum required. It will be generous, heartfelt, and public. The phrase "I will praise your name" brings us back to where the psalm started. David began by calling on God's name for salvation. Now he's promising to praise that same name in victory. This creates what English teachers call a circular structure, ending where you began, but at a higher level of understanding. The psalm concludes with these triumphant words: "You have delivered me from all my troubles, and my eyes have looked in triumph on my foes." Notice the verb tenses here. Have delivered is present perfect, indicating completed action with continuing effects. David isn't just saying "you saved me once." He's saying "you have rescued me, and I'm still experiencing the benefits of that rescue." The phrase "my eyes have looked in triumph on my foes" doesn't mean David watched them die. It means he witnessed their defeat. He saw justice served. He lived to see vindication. For English learners, this shows how to express complete victory and satisfaction using visual language. What makes Psalm 54 so psychologically powerful is its progression from desperation to absolute confidence in just 8 verses. David starts surrounded by enemies who know exactly where he is, and ends by declaring complete victory over all his troubles. The turning point isn't when his circumstances changed, it's when he remembered the power of the name he could call upon. Modern psychology confirms what David discovered. Our emotional state isn't determined by our circumstances, but by what authority we believe has ultimate control over those circumstances. When David shifted from seeing himself as a victim of human betrayal to seeing himself as someone under divine protection, everything changed. The language patterns in Psalm 54 teach us something crucial about English communication: how to express urgency without panic, how to make requests without begging, and how to declare confidence without arrogance. David's progression from "save me" to "you have delivered me" shows perfect use of English verb tenses to express a complete emotional journey. The psalm also demonstrates advanced vocabulary for describing different types of people, from arrogant foes to ruthless people to people without regard for God. These aren't just insults, they're precise psychological profiles for anyone facing betrayal today. Psalm 54 offers a revolutionary approach. Instead of fighting human enemies with human weapons, shift the battle to a higher level. Call upon the name that carries ultimate authority. David discovered that when you invoke divine intervention, you're no longer fighting alone against overwhelming odds. You're standing behind the ultimate power in the universe. The Ziphites thought they held all the cards because they knew David's location, but they forgot about David's connection to the one who knows everyone's location, everyone's motives, and everyone's ultimate destiny. The most beautiful aspect of Psalm 54 is how it transforms our understanding of power dynamics. The Ziphites appeared to have all the advantages. They had information. They had King Saul's favor. They had David surrounded, but David had something infinitely more powerful: access to the name that governs all other names, the authority that supersedes all human authority. When David called upon that name, the entire situation flipped. Those who seemed powerful became powerless, and the one who seemed trapped became triumphant. This psalm teaches English learners something profound about the language of faith and victory. Notice how David doesn't use conditional language, if God helps me, or maybe God will save me. Instead, he uses declarative statements. God is my help. The Lord sustains me. You have delivered me. This is the language of absolute confidence, and it's incredibly powerful in English communication. Whether you're giving a presentation, facing a difficult conversation, or dealing with opposition, speaking with this kind of certainty changes everything. The final lesson of Psalm 54 is about the power of gratitude and public testimony. David doesn't just promise to be thankful privately, he commits to praising God's name publicly, to offering sacrifices that others will see, to making his victory a testimony that encourages others facing similar battles. This teaches us that overcoming betrayal isn't complete until we help others who are facing the same challenges. Your triumph becomes someone else's hope. Your testimony becomes their roadmap to victory. Today, whenever you face betrayal from people who should have protected you, whenever you feel surrounded by those who know your vulnerabilities and are using them against you, remember Psalm 54. Remember that there's a name you can call upon that changes everything, an authority you can invoke that supersedes all human schemes. Remember that your enemy's knowledge of your vocation is nothing compared to your access to the one who knows their hearts, their motives, and their ultimate fate. Remember that apparent powerlessness can become absolute victory in an instant, when the right name is invoked with genuine faith. The Ziphites knew where David was hiding, but David knew where true power was hiding, and that made all the difference.